Hello everyone, greetings from Chateau Buffemont. I'm Sarp, your manager here at the Chateau and your host on these weekly interview sessions. It's so great to see your faces here with us. Today, like each week, we are now trying to make interviews, talking with different vendors, professionals from hospitality industry, and trying to share with you some consistent information, useful tips that can be helpful for you. Today, this week's episode of the Let's Talk Weddings, we have a great special guest, a camera magician, a very talented operator for storytelling, a Paris-based wedding and engagement photographer, Daria Lorman. Hello, Daria.
Hello. Hope you're doing well.
Everything is well. Thank you for joining us. Everything is good. You're looking great. How is everything?
Thank you. You too. Yeah, it's still sunny. I think it's the first live I'm actually doing during the evening time or like daytime when it's still sunny, not dark.
Okay.
And I'm sure you're gonna have a beautiful sunset at Chateau Buffemont.
I know. I have the sunset coming down. I know you like these moments, the golden hours.
Yes.
Magical moments. I'm sure we will discuss and discover more of this special touch that you can provide through different photography sessions. But we want to get to know you first. So tell us a bit of yourself, who you are, and what's your story.
So, good evening, everyone. Hi, guys. Good day if you're joining from States. My name is Daria, for those who don't know me yet. I'm a Paris-based destination wedding photographer. It's been more than 10 years I'm actually professionally doing photography, and I really love shooting at Chateau Buffemont.
Okay, that's great. Perfect.
Yeah.
And how did you get into photography?
That's a long story, actually.
I think that's fine.
I don't know if maybe some of my older friends will join us today, but I've been a person who carried my camera with me all the time, even when I was a kid. So I got my first camera as a gift when I was a teenager from my parents. And since then I took it everywhere with me, to my school trips, study trips, university parties. And I was the person who was coming to the party and taking all the pictures all the time. And I think all my schoolmates, university mates, they have all the pictures from me.
So they were the lucky ones, I guess, to have you
Yeah,
around.
so exactly.
Awesome.
Then those friends started getting married, actually, and quite early. So one of my first friends got married in 2008. Which is more than 10 years ago, and that was actually the first wedding I shot. It was absolutely not intentional, but she just called me and she was like, yeah, you're always taking pictures, I'm getting married in Netherlands, why don't you fly to us and be our guest and take our pictures?
That's a great occasion.
I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I have my camera, I always shoot your pictures, so wedding, same thing. So like now I think how crazy she was to
let you.
I'm happy for this opportunity, but I just don't understand how you can just, hey, tell your friend, come and do it for me. But luckily, I still love those pictures. Even like I can show it to you today and I can still be okay with them.
Okay, that's great. And I guess that's your first trial. But afterwards, how did you decide to make a living as a wedding photographer?
So this was still like, I shot her wedding and I forgot about it.
Okay.
And then in 2009, I moved to France. I moved to Paris from Moscow for first as a university exchange with my Moscow State University. And I went to Sciences Po in Paris. And I started going out a lot. It was happy student times.
Of course.
And I met a lot of people. And I brought my camera with me quite often to some private parties. And once it was, I think, a Christmas party in Paris and in a private club. I took pictures and then next day I shared them on Facebook in the event group. And next day people started putting them on their Facebook profiles and like sharing and liking and writing me like great pics. And then the director of the nightclub, I knew him already, but he was like, can you bring your camera next time? And can you actually do this for us? Like on a regular basis, can you do the nightclub photography? I was like, yeah, sure. That's what I'm doing, like for free, for fun. That's what I love to do. So I was like happy to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And then got into this. It was also like quite natural. I was keep continuing my studies, and it was not intentional. And then I graduated in Paris and started working in strategic consulting. And then I was like, okay, I live in the most beautiful city in the world.
That's true.
And I don't see it anymore. I'm like just going to work in the office, working in my Excel, never actually seeing the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre. I was like, yeah, I live in Paris, but I don't notice it. I don't understand like why all the people come and see the beauty and get so excited. So I started bringing my camera out, and I was like, I need to do something to remind myself how happy I am to be here, how honored I am to live here, to have this opportunity. And I was like, that's not really like club photography is not what I really love to do. I mean, it's drunk people, it's happy people, but they're not really
not
what
at their
I love.
best moments. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of best moments of the night. But I was like, there is something to do about it. I love taking pictures of people. I love taking happy moments. Then they enjoy, but more than they're in love. Then there is a net interaction when it's a happy couple. So I decided to launch my business. So officially it was in 2014 when I decided to do couples and love stories and wedding photography. Perfect. And this was completely intentional because I already had a lot of experience, and I was thinking like what I love the most is couples and happiness and love and interaction between people.
Okay, I'm glad you joined the weddings photography. What is your style and primary, let's say, artistic approach?
Yeah, so I would say like my clients usually describe my style, and that's exactly how I see it. And when I receive an email saying me this, I know that it's my client. Usually they call my style romantic, light and airy photography. So my editing style is very soft. I don't do any very contrasted pictures, and my main objective is to make some timeless, elegant, romantic photography. When I say timeless and romantic, obviously romantic, it's love, and I try to photograph people who would look beautiful on the pictures. So some photographers prefer reportage, and they don't intervene, they don't do posing, and they capture just like moments as they happen. I love this, but I love also to guide a little bit my couples and help them look beautiful. And this romantic look, I mean, when you ugly love, some people will find it nice to have that picture, but most of the brides won't like it. Most of the brides want to look beautiful on their wedding day, and they want to see their bridal portrait and say, oh my gosh, I'm so pretty, my wedding was so beautiful, thank you so much. And that's what they want to remember. And also in terms of editing, I think staying in this kind of soft and natural colors will make these pictures timeless, because when people will look at them today or in 10 years or in 50 years, they won't think about like crazy filters, and they won't feel like, yeah, that's an Instagram thing back in 2000, or what's that? They will still look at this, it will be a beautiful picture.
Okay, so we could say the message that you wish to give in your photography is the beauty of the people, the happiness of the moment, and in a way immortalize these moments throughout life.
Exactly.
I get it right.
Absolutely.
And how do you communicate this process with your clients, with the photo couple? How do you do this? What is the process of creating this story?
I think that first of all, there is like a first layer is my portfolio, which I show everywhere, and the couples who come, most of the time they've seen my work, and I know that some people won't like it. For some people it will be too bright, too light, too romantic, too feminine. Someone will find it not in their taste. So that's like a first layer. So people who find it attractive, they like my composition, they like my editing style, they're potentially my clients. And most probably when people see this work, they want the same for their wedding. and then it's a photographer's job to explain how we get into this look, because this look is like a combination of multiple things. It's a combination of the location, of the outfits, of the lighting we use, of the mood of the day. So I think it's important for me to talk with the couple or with the wedding planner or with the florist before the wedding and kind of get a common look of the wedding. For example, if someone wants me to shoot at an evening wedding in the like a salle de fête, like a big hall for 2,000 people, with artificial flowers, artificial dark flowers, let's say like red roses and a lot of crystals, and they want to wear like I tell everything at the same time, like a black dress with a golden crown and all of this. I'm not sure. I will most probably guide this client a little bit. Either I'll try to explain that they were not gonna get the same look as they can see in my portfolio, or I will try to advise someone else to them, because it's not gonna happen. We can't do it at any time of the day or at any place and a different look. So we try to work on the details of the wedding before it happens. We try to choose the time of the day where we can shoot. I'm not the one who's gonna tell like the golden hour is the only hour I will shoot, because that's when I get those pictures. There's always a way to shoot inside the chateau, for example, if it's bright sun at midday, somewhere in the shade. So it's nice to have
at night as well.
Of course. I mean, of course, I use artificial light at night and I shoot at night, and it's important. A lot of things happen there, and I learned how to do it when I was doing the nightclub photography. So I'm not saying that like I'm not gonna shoot at night when it gets dark. I will absolutely do, but for some couple portraits, of course, it's good to do it at the golden hour. But at the other time, it's nice to do it inside or use the shade.
Awesome. So I guess if we can get you, we can count on to have amazing results at the end of the event, I guess.
I hope so. I mean, that's my aim, and that's why I'm there. And I mean, sometimes it's nice when a couple and the wedding planner can help a little bit and leave some precious time around sunset for some pictures, even if it's like half an hour, but it's nice to have them.
Of course, perfect. So I'm gonna move on to the wedding planning section, especially while we are in quarantine. I'm sure like all the vendors and like ourselves, everyone is either rescheduling or trying to fill up the latest dates available for the second part of the year, whenever that may come. How are you dealing with this reschedulings and actually staying in quarantine mostly on a personal basis? What can we do to keep positive?
Okay, so first of all, I think I'm gonna print this phrase big and like put it on the wall soon. Love is not cancelled. I love this phrase. Love is not cancelled, and your wedding is probably not cancelled. It's rescheduled, and reschedulation is not the same as cancellation. So I think this helps to stay a bit more positive about this.
I agree.
I actually, when it all started, I was the first denying it a little bit, and I was like, Paris is doing well, everyone is enjoying their drinks on the terrace, nothing's going on here, you can still come, you will be all right. So for first few days, I was like, no, it's gonna pass.
Avoiding the issue.
And I was like too positive, and then as soon as I understood, like even 3 days before the official announcement of the lockdown by the president, I started contacting my brides. So I try to be proactive and to stay positive with them, because I understand that for the brides it's the worst period ever. I mean, we all have our problems, we all have our troubles, but that's the most important day of their lives. They planned it for like 1 or 2 years or many months, and they were dreaming about it. Many brides dream about their wedding day since they are kids, and it's a very important day. And I just feel their pain. I can understand that for them it's like the end of the world sometimes. So it's my job to come there and say, guys, whatever happens, I'm with you. Don't worry. If you change your date 10 times, I will be there. So I try to give them a positive message and try to give them the guidelines of what should they do without pushing too much. So I was not contacting my like August brides in March. So I was contacting like month by month, progressively, and try to always stay positive. And I mean, my policy is super flexible. So unless I'm not available on the new date and the couple really wants that date, I will do everything that I can to come to their wedding. So
understood.
Yeah, that's how like professionally I deal with it, like more being proactive and being positive and trying to guide my brides. Personally, I think I'm quite a positive person, so I think everything's gonna be all right. And I'm
as you say, love is not going to be cancelled.
Love is not cancelled, and I'm just using this time quite productively, like updating my website, working on like finishing some jobs, editing some pictures. So like doing the stuff I didn't have time to do, some administrative things, which were always
we all have to do those things anyway.
Yeah.
And then coming back to the wedding planning, for example, if I was to be a wedding planner or an events coordinator, what would you have them do to help with all the things going on, and how they can keep in relationship with the couple that also are your clients?
That's a question I got from one planner from States, Clara, and I actually would like to thank Clara for it, because that's very nice. Then the wedding planners think about their brides, but also about the vendors, and they try to actually do their work because now it's on their shoulders. I think I'm actually very happy for the brides who got a wedding planner or wedding coordinator. Wedding coordinator is a bit different because the coordinator comes on the day.
That's true.
So they're kind of not supposed to help, but wedding planners are definitely supposed to be there and to take all the stress away from the brides. And while I was contacting my brides, I was contacting the brides who did not have a planner. So if it was a couple from a planner, I was expecting to receive an answer from them, and sometimes it doesn't happen actually. So some planners are just hiding under the table and not saying anything and just waiting for the bride to tell, like, what's going on, help me. I think that's what you're not supposed to do. So the planner is supposed to be proactive, contact the vendors, maybe find another date, and then communicate with everyone and let the bride know that she has a plan B, plan C, plan D, and she can just rely on the planner and enjoy staying home with her future husband or family, and just relax. I think the planners should be proactive.
That's true. That's true. So thank you, Clara.
And maybe I can also ask if some planners are listening. Maybe they can also help with signing the updated contracts or the new contracts.
That's a valid point.
Because sometimes people just don't think about the fact that their contract is not valid anymore. If the date is new, it's not valid.
Of course, yeah. More administrative work and more paperwork. So
that's my consulting part of the brain.
That's true, but it's a valid point. And from our end as well, we've been gathering some questions for you.
So let's start with how a wedding day goes for you, and what should the wedding couple expect from you on this big day?
Differently. I think every wedding is different, and there is no wedding which goes the same as another one. But if we take like most common case, I would say we start with the bridal morning, and that's one of my one of my favorite parts of the day. I actually love all the parts, but this is one of my favorite. So the bridal morning, when the bride gets ready, gets her makeup and hair done. And I actually maybe will answer to some brides who tell me like, oh, I don't need those pictures when I'm getting my makeup on. And my approach is not the same as other photographers. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them do like me, but some others do differently. So some people just come and take the pictures through the whole process, the whole makeup, the whole hair. And I always tell my brides, I'm not shooting this. I'm shooting the final touch, when you already look beautiful, when everything is done, and it's like the final touch of the brush on your eyes, like final lipstick, a little bit spray on the hair, because I think it's the worst picture the bride can get from the bridal morning is then she has one eye with makeup and the other one just naked, and she's like half asleep because it's super early, and the makeup artist is wearing jeans and like ripped t-shirt, and like this is horrible. I'm not shooting this. No, for me, bridal morning is really the moment to make beautiful bridal portraits. Like beautiful bridal portraits where she's alone. She doesn't have to celebrate with her family and friends. She doesn't have to do couple portraits with her future husband. So she's just on her own. She's super excited, usually sometimes too much, sometimes stressed, sometimes crying. But that's the moment how it's very particular how the bride feels before she gets married. And I usually also take some portraits with the mom of the bride, with the bridesmaids, if they are the sisters, and it gives some very precious moments. For example, if the bride is surrounded by her mom and her sisters and maybe her daughters, depending on the family situation. But it's a great moment. It's really like a feminine moment. And also, I'm usually shooting. Before this, while the bride gets ready, I shoot the details. So you asked me a few times, like, how can I make the story? How can I tell the people's story in my pictures? And I think details is a very important part of this. Sometimes, especially maybe guys, they tell like, we don't need those pictures of shoes or flowers. What's that? Like invitations. Usually girls are more cooperative. So I ask my brides to prepare all the important things, the perfumes, the details, the jewelry in a separate place. And I try to ask the florist or the wedding planner to ask the florist to give me some spare flowers left from the decoration so I can use them. And I style those details. So when you look back at those pictures, you can see like those little flowers, those little jewelry and your perfume, and you can kind of relive those moments. And this, like, it's part of everything. It's part of the big picture. So if you don't shoot this, I mean, I can shoot bridal portraits on a different day. I mean, I can shoot bride and groom together at any day, but without these little things through the whole day, not necessarily in the bridal morning. It can also be during the cocktail time, some food served, some plates decorated, flower vases, everything. So all these details, they help tell the story about the whole day.
It's true, because actually there is so much thought going into these details, these small objects together just for this wedding day, and they are actually the ones which reflect the style, the thinking process and the characteristic of the bride and the groom. Of course, I guess it's good to hear that from you. It's important to put these objects together and include them into the story.
And sometimes actually it's just not like new details the bride bought before the wedding. Sometimes there are some important things. I had different cases. I had a bride who asked me, how's it called? Like the thing you put on your leg, like the girls, I forgot the name, but this thing was from her mother. So I was like, I'm not taking a picture of this because it's a little bit too cheesy, maybe too sexy. And she was like, this one is from my mom. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to do it. This is special. Or maybe it's like a watch from grandmother. maybe something like jewelry from family, like heirloom. And sometimes I had a bride. Actually, this was a Chateau Buffimont bride. She did a special manicure on her nails, and she did on this picture, on this finger where you put your rings, she put the initials of the couple, her and her husband. So
nice.
she had the, I don't know, G and E. I don't know if I should tell them. Like,
It's okay.
I'm not sure people will find which
Not
couple.
from the initials.
And yeah, and this was like a little moment, a little detail you probably don't know about it, but I'm sure it will be nice for them to see it later in their album or somewhere in the pictures, and they go like, hey, do you remember? And I remember how you smiled when you noticed it, when you put the ring on it. So it's never useless. So the details are very important. And yeah, if we come back about what's going later on the day. So after the getting ready and the details are shot, usually there is either the first look, either we go to the ceremony. So it's like two schools. I can't tell people you should have first look, you should not have first look, because it depends, totally depends on how people see their day. I personally love it. I think it always gives some nice pictures with a lot of emotions, a lot of like beautiful tears falling down. And I mean, but at the same time, I understand people who want to feel all these emotions at the ceremony, and they don't want to ruin the moment, and they keep it to the ceremony. That's also fine. But at the same time, I have couples who did first look and they still cried at the ceremony. So it doesn't mean that
it's an emotional day. There's enough tears throughout the day, I'm sure.
I also heard a lot that some brides are like, I'm not doing this because I'm not gonna cry. I'm not going to see this because I don't want to cry before the dinner or
But
before.
For sure, they're going to cry.
Just enjoy your day. Don't think about how you look on pictures. That's not your job. It's not the job of the bride. It's your photographer's job to do it right and to make you look beautiful. Just enjoy your day. Just relax and do whatever you want. So after the ceremony, that's I think I saw the question, what's the most important moment of the day?
Yes. I want to
So the ceremony on the wedding day is definitely the most important, because it's the only one you can't repeat. Yeah. It's the only one that you can shoot on the day after or the day before. That's the moment. Yeah, that's the moment why we're all there and why the guests are there and the families gathered together. So that's very important. And then after the ceremony, it's depending on the time schedule. Sometimes usually I try not to do the couple portraits because it's a little bit too early for the lighting. So we do some family formals. So after the ceremony, everyone is at the same place. So it's nice to make like one big picture with everyone, and then some family, like smaller family portraits. And then usually in France, it's apéro. So everyone is drinking, having snacks, cocktails, champagne. Some brides and grooms are okay to leave this moment and take a couple pictures, especially if it's sunset time. Some couples want to enjoy the cocktail. So, I mean, I'm not gonna tell them like, guys, no, you need to do the pictures at this time.
No.
I let them enjoy, and we can still make maybe spend less time on the couple portraits. And then there is dinner, which is usually the calmest time in terms of photography, because no one wants to see the pictures of people actually eating. So usually the dinner is quite like calm, and people eat. We don't shoot. But sometimes there are speeches, and sometimes there are dances, and sometimes there are parents singing, like on the wedding I shot at the chateau. And this is important to capture, and it's usually a lot of emotions too. When the speech is emotional, everyone cries, everyone laughs, and it's usually the moment then the most important people speak: parents, family, best friends, and usually even sometimes I cry a little bit.
Happens to me too.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us.
Yes. And then it's the party.
It's the party. That's the most fun
first
part.
Dance.
We all love. And usually you stay until the end of the first dance and a bit later in the evening. That's how it works for you?
I think the last time I left Chateau Bouffemont was 3:30 a.m.
Oh, okay.
My time
Must be
was
a nice.
till 1.
Okay, it must be a nice party then.
Yeah, it was very nice. Usually it depends on the couple, on the budget, on the relationships we have with the couple also. So I advise, like, if there is any budget restriction for the photographer you want to choose, you need the first dance, the cake, the first dance, and maybe 15 more minutes after the first dance. So basically, that's all you can get from the night. If there is no animation, and if there are no fireworks. So
Okay.
if nothing happens except drinking and dancing,
There is no need.
yeah, first 15 minutes after the first dance is largely enough, because people not gonna do anything. Like, there will be less and less people on the dance floor. So the best moment to shoot the dancing pictures is right after the first dance, when everyone is there, everyone is just like starting to party and enjoying and happy and full of energy. And then if there is no animation, no fireworks, it makes like quite, you don't have to keep your photographer for the whole night. Sometimes I love, I personally love when the videographer stays a bit longer, because it's always like motion is better on video sometimes. So you can still have a lot of like crazy dancing if the couple is into it. If for you the most important part is like ceremony and family portraits and couple portraits, I mean, 5 pictures from the night will be enough.
I hear you have any other suggestions that you would like to give, which might be helpful during the preparation process for the brides and grooms, maybe? Any tips that you can give?
In general. Or
in general?
In general. So, and I was thinking about all the weddings today, and there's quite a lot of things going on. And then I was thinking, what goes wrong usually? So,
okay, that's a good question.
A lot of things, actually. And I think I have a few advices. So the first one is give your family dynamics to the photographer and videographer team. I'm usually sending a questionnaire to my couples, but before the wedding, to know them better, to know the day better, with lots of questions. And there are questions about the family, and there are questions about if the couples can send me photos and names of their bridesmaids and bridal squad, so I can know the people. And why I tell family dynamics are important, because it's not just like we ask it just to get those details, like people don't want to talk about like who divorced with whom, and no, it's not for this. It's because sometimes it leads to very strange situations. For example, at one of my first weddings, after the ceremony at the town hall, I was like, yeah, let's do the group portraits, let's do the bride with the bridesmaids. And the girls came and were like, I was like, can you smile? Yeah, look at the bride, you're happy for her. And they were like, just like going. I was like, what's going on? And then I still wanted those pictures, because I didn't get it why it was happening. So I was like, girls, let's do it. And they were like, fuck you, sorry. This is our father's second wife, and he just brought us here, and you want us to take pictures with her? So actually it was like children from the first marriage, and not her bridesmaids. So they were quite the same age, and they were sitting on her side of the wedding, and they signed for her as witnesses at the town hall. And I had no clue, and I was like, why didn't you tell me? And she was like, actually on this wedding there is only like my mom, and everyone else is from his side, and this is her. And I was
complicated story.
Okay. And yeah, and it sounds like crazy, but it happens very often. Like,
proves your point.
I mean, there are a lot of people who get divorced, unfortunately, and it's not rare. Then the family is someone is divorced with someone. So it's nice to know it before to avoid this kind of situation, because when you ask to make a group portrait with parents and they don't get along with each other anymore, or they don't want to pose in front of their new wife or new husband, like you just can't pose like mom, dad, and daughter if it's different today. And this is very important to know. And it's not because I'm curious and I want to know your dirty sheets. It's just to help you and your guests and your family be comfortable on the day. And this is something which is usually forgotten. This is something we know about later.
That's a very
on the wedding. Then it's like an uncomfortable moment, and you're like, you should have told me about it.
But overall, I like how proactive you are and how you take action from the beginning of your process of preparation until the end of the night. That's very good to hear. Very professional of you. Anything else you'd like to add in terms of?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of advices actually.
Give me your top two.
Top two. So, be okay with the idea that it's not gonna go as planned. I think because we can't predict everything, and everyone has a wedding day planning with the time when it's supposed to be reception, dinner, ceremony, and sometimes something happens. Someone is late.
Always something.
Yeah, there is always something, and I have a lot of brides who are control freaks, probably a bit like me, and I know that it feels like it feels horrible. So it's good to know before that it's not your wedding that goes wrong. It happens all the time. It happened to all the brides before, and it's your day. Just let your planner do it, or let your best friend do it if you don't have a planner, and just forget and just enjoy. So don't, and maybe like a sub advice from this is that leave enough space between events on the wedding day. So maybe allow some extra time for travel, for the transition moments, because sometimes when it's too packed, it's not going as planned, and everything gets ruined, because sometimes you just put 5 minutes to get out of your room to the car. And then with the big dress, you can't enter into the elevator. There is a space just for you. There is no room for your groom. You have to use it twice, and then you forgot your bouquet, and then you wanted a glass of water, and then it's 30 minutes later, you're still not in your car. And yeah, sometimes it happens. So it's better to leave space. Yeah, and especially when you have a beautiful location like Château de Boufemon. You should use the place to get those pictures. And I once arrived and the bride was late to her ceremony in the town hall for about 2 hours. Because the driver brought her directly to the chateau instead of bringing her to the town hall first. So everyone was waiting in Paris in front of the town hall, and the bride was not there. She was almost at the chateau by that time, so it took her 1 hour more to get back. And this is basically the 2 hours taken away from the pictures at the chateau later on the same day, at the very best moment. So this is quite. This might happen. You should be aware of it, and maybe advice from this: get sure your driver drives you to the right place.
It's true. Preparing briefs and people who know what they do have to interact with all the vendors one by one and keeping things under control. So that's why we have to work always with the right professionals and the true people. So that's a very valid point.
So true. And actually this thing happened because there was a team of wedding planners, and everyone was working together except the driver for the bride, because the bride booked him directly. And she didn't communicate his number to anyone. She was like, I get my car covered, you do everything else. And the only thing she was in charge went wrong and the planner could not do anything. So
of course.
if you have a team, trust your team and be open in your communication with the team. Share everything.
But I hope at the end she came to the town hall, then everything followed to the event space, and I'm sure it was a beautiful wedding at the end.
Yeah, it was definitely a beautiful wedding. In the town hall, we had to leave 3 other couples pass before us. So we're like, guys, we're supposed to get married after us. Can we go now? And this, I think the mayor stayed a little bit longer to get them married because it was the last of the day. And then I had like 15 minutes for couple portraits at the chateau.
So we had to rush.
I was like, oh my God, let's do it. We can do it. We can do it in 5 minutes. 1 hour is better than 5 minutes is also possible.
That's good to know. And what's your last tip? Tell us, please.
Last tip. That's a lot of
anything else. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think the last tip is like really try to be present at the moment on the wedding day, because you make so much planning, you think about it for so long, and it goes so quickly.
That's true.
And
so true.
Unless you booked a good photographer and videographer team, which is not always the case. Some people don't have enough budget. Some people trusted their friend, like did my friend did in 2008.
You put her right though, so that's okay.
No, but some people think like, yeah, it's photography, videography. Yeah, it's good to have, but it's not really important. But sometimes they forget that that's the only thing which is left 10 years later from your wedding. True. I mean, memories go, you forget things, but it's nice to have something printed, something you can watch again, and something to show to your kids, to your grandchildren. And yeah,
go on.
Yeah, it's great. It's good to invest in a nice photographer and videographer team, and it's also nice to leave the moment, because some people just like get so much into control. They don't want to cry before, they don't want to smile here, they don't want to change the dress there, and they think about like how it goes, and then it's 3 a.m. and it's over, and they didn't have time to talk to friends, to enjoy.
That's true. Because this is our special day at the end. It's not just a big show, but a day for us to enjoy with our most loved ones. So if the bride and the groom is not present there, who else should, you know?
Exactly.
It's good to share these moments. I'm also curious myself, in which format do you provide the photos at the end? How do you present them?
First of all, digital.
Of course.
Like the minimum is everyone gets the digital copy, and it's a gallery online, so people can see the pictures, share with their friends and family. And then depending on the packages, like usually in the wedding package there is at least a nice USB drive in like a nice box. Then sometimes there are allowed like 100 prints. And I love doing prints a lot, because I think it's, even if you want to print like one big picture on the wall later, or make 5 different albums, as soon as you like open the box and you get those prints, no matter that you have like 1,000 pictures on the digital gallery, even if you have like 5 pictures printed, though, you can feel super happy.
It's been a pleasure having you over here with us. I hope you
thank you.
Enjoyed your talk as well.
Thank you for calling me, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be your guest after Billy and after Kiko. I love them both. And also, I think we are all in the wedding industry, and wedding industry is the opposite of social distancing.
It's true, we have to keep close.
Yeah, it's absolutely the opposite. So it's very nice to see people. I saw some fellow photographers join. I saw Christine, maybe someone else. Sorry, I didn't see all the names. But it's a pleasure at least to have this way to communicate to each other, to see each other, to see the beautiful chateau, maybe even for 2 seconds, and to think that when it will be over, we'll all come back and celebrate and have beautiful events there.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for today's Let's Talk Wedding session. I hope you the best, Daria, and hope to see you soon at the season, whenever.
Exactly.
Comes. Thank you, Daria. Stay safe.
Thank you so
See
much, you
soon.
too, and hope to see you very soon when it's all over.
Yes, will do. Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Bye
Daria.
bye. Bye, everyone.
Well, that's a wrap up. It was a great episode. It was so nice. I'm so happy to see all your beautiful faces up here. Thank you for all these questions you've asked. I hope you enjoyed our talk and find some useful tips and suggestions through this special episode. As promised, we will be back once again next Thursday at 6 p.m. This time we have another special talent, surprise guest, and until then, stay informed, stay entertained, stay at home with Chateau Buffamon. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.